What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Before we get into it, thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly and Karen. Guys, we got some new merch. It is fantastic. Halloween greater than Christmas. Not wearing any right now. It's football. We're repping the teams here, but we're here to talk. Don't worry, darling. So go get some merch. It's all linked down in the description. The very beginning of this video will be non-spoiler, and then we're gonna get into spoiler discussion because I think it's unfair to talk about this movie without spoiling it.
Okay.
So let's get into it. Kyle, what were your positives of Don't Worry, Darling?
I liked the feel and the tone and the look of this movie. I thought when it came to the technical stages of this movie that it was very well done. From production design, costume design, makeup was very good to me. I thought it was all really great in making it feel like that 50s um aesthetic. I think it was supposed to be 50s if I remember correctly. It kind of seemed like it, but at the same time have that underlying layer of psychological thriller to it. I thought the two of them were blended very well with good direction. By the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like people are agreeing with that, but I didn't think the direction was particularly bad, even though I will get into my negatives a bit more on what parts I do think aren't great in this movie. But I thought that there was at least a good direction in terms of how the movie needs to look and feel, and what the tone of this movie and what the genre of this movie was trying to be. And for some reason, those elements were able to keep me, I'll say, more engaged in the movie than other people by the sounds of it on Twitter and everywhere else online. But I thought that when it came to those aspects of it, it gave me a movie that wasn't, great, but I thought was good. I thought that it was pretty solid on those aspects of it. And then Florence Pugh, I'm just gonna echo what everyone else is saying. She's absolutely terrific. She definitely is the one carrying this movie. But I do think there were other good performances as well. I mean, obviously from the likes of Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, I thought was very underrated and underutilized, which is a bummer because she is a super talented actress in my opinion. I'm excited to see more of what she has in store for her career. But um, Harry Styles, not a leading actor type guy. It's probably like what his second performance ever. So everyone else is acting circles around him. I didn't think he was awful, but he wasn't great either. Like he was fine. He was fine. He did all that he could for his level of acting ability, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a leading man type. But if he does more supporting role stuff instead, and maybe he could improve. We've seen that done with actors before. They go from not being very good to being very good. See Channing Tatum, for example. Um, but anyway, I'll just wrap up with those being my positives. I thought this movie was good to okay because I liked what I was getting out of like the technical elements and what this movie was trying to do.
Florence Pugh's my only positive. What's your negative?
I will agree that with other people that the writing in this movie is not great. I think that while they had an idea that was interesting enough, they had a hard time blossoming into an idea that is a little more fleshed out or could be more fleshed out than what we got in as a result. I also could see with the editing that it probably was supposed to be a longer movie, that there was supposed to be a lot more moving pieces, a lot more scenes that connect between.
I
I know
freaking
the
hope
movie's
not.
already too long, but I do feel like that there was more that was supposed to be in this movie to help flesh out this story, even though they probably should have had a better script to help make that runtime shorter to begin with. But again, like it wasn't the worst writing I've ever seen, but it also wasn't great either. And you could easily see that it just was not able um, to do an even better job than what was given because of a script and editing that they just had to kind of work around in order to make something decent. But this is where I hand it off to Alex because I'm just excited to hear his thoughts.
This is where we're going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie, you don't want to be spoiled. This is where we get into it. All spoilers from this point on. This is one of
Perfect.
the worst movies I think I've ever seen. And it's because it's absolutely boring. No, I'm just uh this movie is there were rumors that Florence Pugh and Olivia Wilde got into a screaming match where Florence Pugh said, I am directing more of this movie with than you, and I 100% believe it. This is one of the worst directed movies I've
Sure.
ever seen. It is lifeless. It is a lifeless movie. Shots do not matter in the movie. None of the shots matter. None of the buildup matters. None of what they're trying to do matters. I completely disagree with what you're saying. This is 100% on Olivia Wilde. It is
Mhm.
legitimately. I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, man, this to me, if you had not told me it was Olivia Wilde, I would have guessed is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but those are better. The last M. Night movie, Old, was better than this, and that movie's not that good. But at least it had a purpose. It had the shots meant something. We were building towards something. This movie has none of that. Like it must have, Olivia must have just ran off and hung out with Harry the whole time. Harry is
Oh, yeah.
horrific in the movie. He is bad. He's so bad, he's laughable. Chris Pine is doing a good job with a really poorly written and directed character. He's like a mustache twirler villain half the time. He's awful. Florence Pugh is night and day better than everyone in this movie. Everyone. And
Mhm.
I think Olivia Wilde's a good actress. I think Chris Pine is a fantastic actor. I really like Nick Kroll. I really like a lot of these actors. I think Harry did a good job in Dunkirk. He's supposed to be in, I don't remember the name of the movie. There's a movie coming out that's getting some Oscar buzz he's supposed to be in that's supposed to be very good. But she is so far and above everyone else. She gives life, a little bit of a life, to a horrible movie. The shots are truly meaningless. I look, man, I've been to film school. I know how to direct a movie at a base level. I understand it. I understand what directors do. And she clearly had no idea what she was doing. I couldn't believe I was watching the same woman who directed Booksmart, because Booksmart is a very well directed movie. And
Yeah,
comedies get
yeah.
a bad rep for not needing a lot of direction, that it's the jokes that make the movies great. But that movie is directed very well. Olivia Wilde, if she's still involved in the MCU, get her out of there immediately. I don't want to see an Olivia Wilde directed movie for a while. This movie is
Yikes.
bad. It's bad. It is.
Mm.
Look. You can have a whole, like, let's take a movie like The Happening. Speaking of M Night, let's take a horrible movie. When you watch The Happening, you can tell that as a director, M. Night Shyamalan has meaning behind even a very bad movie. And that movie then becomes funny because of that
Mm.
reason. Because you're like, oh, there's horrible dialogue, but there's still a goal and a mission. This movie is so bad to me because it's lacking that. I have never been so bored in a movie in my entire life. None of it made sense. It was predictable. If I'm guessing the plot of your movie, you're doing a poor job. I went into this movie going, I'm pretty sure this is where the men are like controlling the women somehow, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Easily predicted. Um like I think of a movie like Men that came out this year that is also about how awful men are, and it's just so much better. I'm not hating on this movie because I don't want to support women, I guess, but like it's just, this movie is so bad. It's bad in every sense of the word. Go watch Men. If you want to watch a great movie where men suck, go watch Men. It's awesome. Also, Olivia Wilde makes this huge ordeal in her marketing about how
Mhm.
only women in this movie orgasm. Some of those scenes were some of the worst sex scenes in a movie I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever, ever, ever. The scene where she's on, this is spoiler, the scene where she's on the table that was in the trailer
Mm.
is Harry
Is what now?
Styles is so clearly not doing anything to her that it makes it bad. Like if they
Mhm.
had just focused like that is direction. She chose to make sure Harry is involved in the shots. That is poor direction because he is so clearly not arousing her to try to be appropriate here on YouTube, but like he's clearly not doing anything. They do a better job later in the movie when they're in what's his face's bedroom, but
Mhm.
that scene, like if they had just focused on Florence, it would have worked just so much better. That tells you that she's not around as a director, she's checked out as a director, and she's not doing what she should have. And a lifeless movie goes down worse than a bad movie because The Happening we still talk about. The Happening people rewatch because it's so freaking funny bad.
Mm.
This is a bad movie. It's not going to be talked about. It's going to be forgotten. It's going to be hated because it rightfully should be. It is bad. Bad, bad, bad. I laughed watching some of the way these scenes were directed. I could have directed these scenes better. And I'm not good. I made a couple of bad student films. I'm not good at directing, but I
Mhm.
understand directing. I've learned it. I've studied it, and this was so bad. I couldn't handle it. My girlfriend in the movie leaned over and said something to me. I don't remember what she said, but I think she said I have to use the bathroom really bad in the movie, and I leaned over and said I'm super bored. So hurry, like take your time or something. I don't remember what I said. Our movie, I just remember I told her I was super bored. The second the movie ended, some woman behind us goes, "What?" And then another girl goes, "That was horrible." And then they all marched out of the theater. And I've seen clips of other people in theaters doing that. There's a reason.
Yeah.
It's a bad movie. Good on you, Shia LaBeouf, getting out of here. No wonder you need more rehearsal time. He sat there going, "Wow, I'm not getting directed. I need to build
Mhm.
chemistry with Florence." It's truly one of the worst movies of I've ever seen. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars, I think, on Letterbox. That's how bad this movie is. And that might be too much. Because if you move that to 10 and it doubles, that would be 2 stars. And that's too big. This is bad. This is Chappie bad. And even Chappie had better purpose than this. Go watch Men. It's so much better. And Florence, you're so much better than this. And Chris Pine, even Olivia Wilde is better than this movie. She's bad in the movie. Anyway,
Mhm.
what do you think of my rant there? Are we done?
I'll wrap up my thoughts. Cause I don't know why I thought this movie was okay. Cause I don't really disagree with what you're saying. Like, I do think the behind the scenes drama did cause this movie to, stumble a lot. And I did agree with you that like there's no like build up to anything, and there are scenes that do feel like they're meaningless or just not well
All of them.
shot, such as the one that you're
All of them.
describing. But I was able
All
to
of
see more good than
them.
bad on the technical aspects, and I guess that kept me engaged somehow. Like, I don't know, I just don't feel like
I don't even think
as
it's
terrible.
technically good.
I
I
don't
think
know, like
having a set is cool. Like, good job. You had a good set. Cool. What a nitpick to me. That's such a positive nitpick.
I
Like,
don't know, I
it's
liked
like
it.
you're grasping at straws. Like, yeah, it was fine, but the movie sucked. Fan-tastic was better than this. Anyway,
At least the first half of
continue.
Fan Four Stick.
First half
Yeah,
was
I don't
great.
know. This is one of those situations where somehow I was able to take away more good than bad. I can't explain it. I know I'm in the minority, and I probably am wrong. Like, if I rewatch this like a few months down the road, I probably will realize that it is bad. But I don't know. For some reason, maybe I was just thinking like the shoe was
Maybe
gonna
give it
drop at
two and
some
a
point
half.
during the
That's not
movie
good.
and was expecting like really, really bad stuff. But I just kept enjoying like certain elements of the movie while at the same time realizing that it's clearly not fleshed out and clearly there wasn't that clear direction that we thought that we were going to get again from Booksmart. And I don't know. I really can't explain this one, but
Giving
I
Harry
think more
Styles
people are on.
glasses and his hair down and some acne. One, I don't know why, but he looked a lot like Evan Peters to me there. Not that Evan Peters has
Oh,
acne,
yeah.
but just he just looked like him there. Um,
Yeah.
he was still a very attractive man. None of that made sense. None of the shots make sense when the glass comes and presses her. Why? Why? Why did that happen? Like I would have
Hmm.
loved more explanation of why, what's going on. Like why are the earthquakes happening? Is that just supposed to be a subways passing by from where they're at? I'm left, like Nope left me asking a lot of good questions, but also
Right.
answered the questions that it meant to.
Yes.
I mean, if you're smart, unlike Logan Paul. Um, but if
This movie does not do that, though. It
no,
does not do
not
that.
at all.
100%.
It's one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. It's so bad.
No, that's
It's
true because
bad.
in our reviews that we've done for a long time, this is one of the few times where you have like you have been so expressive about a movie being bad. So it's entertaining to say the least.
Lifeless.
I don't know why we're on opposite ends here, but
Best thing
yeah,
about
I
Don't
don't
Worry,
know.
Darling is it made Thor 4 better because now I don't hate that movie the most this year. But all the actors,
There
I
you
do
go.
love you. It's not about that we're hating on women and how
We
like it's not even a women empowerment movie really. Like it really
no,
isn't. It's just it has so much wrong to it. I hope Olivia takes a good break and comes back with something better like Booksmart. And the writers
yeah,
can do better. Like the writers clearly had written something that worked. I think the direction threw it off completely. Even if you have Shia LaBeouf in that movie, I'd like this movie slightly better. Harry Styles, some of the scenes where he's yelling, the faces he makes when he's like clearly Olivia's like, "Okay, honey, be upset." It's it's laughable. It's so bad. I laughed in
yeah.
the theater. It's bad. I hope all the actors do go on to do better things. Anyway, all right, guys, what do you think of the movie? Comment below, let us know. I'm gonna like, subscribe, and share. Go get some Movie Meals merch. Go get some of the new merch. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.